Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again. So today, we're going to talk about Trump, Johnson, eliminating courts, and reality. As Trump continues to be told, hey, that's unconstitutional by the courts, Speaker of the House Johnson has adopted some rather unique rhetoric that seems really hard to follow up on. Back on Tuesday, he said, quote, "We do have the authority over the federal courts, as you know. We can eliminate an entire district court. We have power of funding over the courts and all these other things. But desperate times calls for desperate measures, and Congress is going to act." The implied course of action is that Congress will simply delete the courts that don't side with Trump. Okay, so let's start with the constitutional side of this. Can Congress simply defund and eliminate courts that it doesn't like? Surprisingly, yes, they can. While the Constitution creates the judicial branch and the Supreme Court and puts the Supreme Court mostly out of the reach of congressional meddling, the lower courts are a very different story. Article 3, Section 1 says, quote, "The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges, both of the Supreme and inferior courts, shall hold their offices during good behavior, and shall, at stated times, receive for their services a compensation, which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office." So while the judges themselves can't be fired for ruling certain ways, the courts themselves can be changed. This has happened a couple of times. Ever hear of the Commerce Court? Probably not, unless you're an attorney or know a lot of bizarre trivia. That's because back in 1913, Congress decided it should cease to exist, and the judges were moved around to other federal courts. Okay, so the constitutional basis is for once actually there to line up with some pretty extreme rhetoric. They can do it constitutionally, but can they do it politically? Probably not. While the House might want to play these games, Republicans in the Senate are less likely to want to open themselves up to endless attack ads that would come of it. Another thing I've noticed is that when House Republicans talk about this, they focus on funding. Almost every quote or soundbite is talking about money. It may be that they plan on using the budget reconciliation process to try to do some of this and get around the Senate filibuster. The filibuster is a Senate rule the House knows about. The House often forgets about the Byrd Rule, which limits what the Senate can consider in budget reconciliations. Basically, it stops the budget reconciliation process from being used to alter policy. Abolishing a federal court would probably count and would be tossed during a process known as a bird bath. When I've talked about that in the past, there was apparently some trouble finding information on it. There will be a link to an explainer video down below. But it's probably also helpful to know the bird in this case is spelled B-Y-R-D. So once it's all charted, the Constitution doesn't prohibit them from taking this step. But normal politics make it highly unlikely to succeed anytime soon. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.